call it the Cob Shed. Jamie calls it the necessary house. And we were over here. I think we were working on gardening, and I didn't have a place to go to the bathroom. We didn't have the camper over here yet, so I'm like, well, you know, we definitely need a smaller natural building project to cut our teeth on. So let's build a cob bathroom and put a compost toilet in it. And so we started that minute. He was like, well, okay. So he got the tractor and he, dug down the subsoil and we started on the foundation within 15 minutes after I said that. But it took us the rest of the summer to get it finished. And that was all by hand. We didn't use the tractor to make any of the cob.
So you stomped every bit of cob?
Yes, I stomped every bit of cob, and Jamie built every bit of wall. Now it does have some stone and brick embedded in the wall, because that really does speed up the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a summer-long project.
I bet your feet hurt.
Well, I definitely lost a little bit of weight that summer.
Yeah.
And built up some arm muscles from the 5-gallon buckets of sand and clay.
Oh yeah. So what kind of plaster is on the outside here?
That's lime plaster. That's just, I think, what is it, 1 part lime and 2 parts sand. And we applied that as part of a weekend plaster workshop inside and out. And so after we put the lime plaster on, the actual whiteness comes from just lime paint, and that's just lime putty and water.
Okay. Is it plastered on the inside?
Yes.
Oh wow. I remember last time I was here it was dark and muddy in here. Now it's bright.
Compost bucket is empty, so
okay.
Just has sawdust in the bottom, maybe a little toilet paper. But
it's a nice roof structure too.
yeah, our carpenter friend Patrick put that on for us. He and Jamie. That was his idea to make it that use that shape.
Is this lintel is this a lintel up here, or is this just a door frame box?
A door frame, but I think that we did put a lintel between the door frame and that transom. We just covered it up with cob.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual door frame and the door are from the house that actually sat on this property that Jamie tore down before we started all of this.
Let me just get a little shot of the back here.
And those are my first sets of bottle lights that I ever did.
Oh, the bottles in there?
Yeah. So we went to the dump and got wine bottles, and then some of them are mason jars. And we used electrical tape to tape them together and then wrap them in, we wrapped them in sheet metal and then wrapped sheet metal around the jars and then used electrical tape to hold it all together. Ferguson, and we had run across some brick that was on a huge discount, so we bought like 4 pallets of it and haven't put it to use yet, so we decided to incorporate it into this just to complement the lime plaster.
So that's not a traditional
Brick
combination of timber frame?
Well, brick is a traditional infill for timber frame. I don't know how often they would have combined the two infills, but certainly makes for a nice effect. And if you'll notice, under both corner braces, the patterns don't match. One is an English pattern, and the other I think might be German. Jamie could tell you more about that. But.
Okay.
And this is actually the last wall we plastered, and where we actually finally started to get pretty good at it. You can see cracks right here though I hadn't noticed. Luckily with these, I think that's expected, and we should be able to just fill that in when we whitewash it next spring.
Yeah. So this is lime plaster and lime wash.
Yeah, the lime plaster, because we're using local sand, whenever you do the lime plaster, it doesn't come out white, it actually comes out gray. So you have to go back over it with a whitewash or a lime paint, which is just lime and water. Okay, so the plaster is an earthen plaster over slip straw walls, and the earthen plaster was clay, sand, straw, and flour paste. If we had it to do over, we would have added a lot more straw to the earthen plaster. So after we put on the earthen plaster, we put on about 4 coats of the lime paint, which was just lime water and a yellow pigment. And it was probably, I don't know, maybe almost a month before we started to see the cracks that went along the corner posts and some of the wall studs at the doors and windows.
So you have, let's just look at some of these. So you have cracks in all these corners where the timber frame posts?
Yes, the corner posts are.
Okay. So that's the earth plaster that cracked.
Yeah.
And then
So it's following the wood.
okay.
The other thing we would have done differently is that we used burlap for air fins to connect between the plaster and the wood. And if I had it to do over, I would use roofing felt, or just a much more material with a lot more substance than the burlap. Burlap has its place in natural building, but really not as an air fin, I don't think. So.
Okay.
So our choices are to cover up those cracks with furniture, or we can just dig them out and replaster them, and try to make them blend in, which I really don't think we'll do. Or in the corners, since they follow a post, I really think we could just create an earthen trim.
Yeah.
To cover them.
Yeah.
And just go with it and make it a different color and snazz up the walls.
Yeah, that'd be those two.
Yeah.